Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Empire City from Chamber of Wonder. The Bowery in Manhattan is the oldest thoroughfare on the island, tracing its roots to a simple footpath back in the 17th century. Dutch settlers gave it its name based on the old Dutch word for farm. And over the decades to follow, the Bowery would grow from a simple farming community into one of the most prominent neighborhoods of the day in New York, rivaling even Broadway as the eye of the city. And it was the vibrant life of the area that prompted Jacob Riis to write that the Bowery never sleeps. But it wasn't until 100 years later in 1979 that Frank Sinatra released his single Theme from New York, New York, a song which to this day is pretty much the theme song for the city. And in it, you'll find the iconic words, "I want to wake up in the city that never sleeps." And from that day, New York adopted the city that never sleeps as one of its most recognizable monikers, joining the Big Apple and the Concrete Jungle as some of the famous nicknames for the largest metropolis in the US. And it's the love for NYC that prompted Tong Hsiung to produce his fourth deck, Empire City. For this one, he reunites with Alba Zapata, the artist who drew his first deck, The Secret, this time for a look at life in the city that never sleeps. I'm really excited for this one, and particularly the tuck box drew me in right off the bat, so excited to jump right into this one. It comes in two different versions you can get with the campaign. These are the standard versions. You get Manhattan Sunrise over here on the left in the maroon, and then the green one here is called Brooklyn Twilight. We'll get a chance to look at both of them, but let's start off with Manhattan Sunrise. All right, so starting with the tuck box, this is done on a great maroon stock, nice matte stock here, and it is covered with gold foil and embossing. Actually, two different tones of gold foil. You may be able to see the kind of yellower gold and then a little bit more of a bronzish color on this one as well. So the two-tone gold and the embossing really give this one a nice depth and feel to it. And I love the Art Deco styling of this one. Filled with tons of little buildings and scenes that you might find in the skyline of New York. Most prominently in the center, you have the Empire State Building front and center, lending its name to the deck. And then some other recognizable buildings. You'll see like the Flatiron Building. There's the New York Stock Exchange over there. And in the corner, some other familiar scenes. Some of my favorites, you get Yankee Stadium up here on the left, or the Staten Island Ferry and the Statue of Liberty up here on the right. Down here, you get the Brooklyn Bridge too. In the middle here, right underneath the name of the deck, Empire City, you get the Eagle, and then a few different banners here, obviously high quality playing cards, and then Where Dreams Really Come True. Down at the bottom, produced by Chamber of Wonder, very, very small print on that one. But beautiful look to this one overall. That gold foil really shines, and the nice embossing on this one just gives that luxury feel. Turning the sides, produced by Chamber of Wonder, premium playing cards, and then designed by Alba Zapata on the other side. You can see her website down there. Bottom has a little bit more ad copy, again, just for Chamber of Wonder Playing Card Company. And then these are made in Taiwan. These are actually printed by the Taiwan Playing Card Company. The top has NYC. Can't see it because it's kind of covered up by that seal there. The back has a preview of the back design of the cards, making more use of some of the famous New York architecture. We'll look at that in a second. This one, of course, done in the foiling and embossing. And then the nice sort of metallic finish red and gold seal in this one. Love the die cut shape of it. And a little bit hard to make out because the numbers are very small and right on the crease on this one. But this is numbered out of the 1800 deck edition. As you open up the inner flap, you get Welcome to the Original U.S. Capitol. So New York City was the capital of the U.S. prior to Washington, D.C. taking that over. You get the little view of the Empire State Building on one inner flap and on the other. And the I Love New York on the inside of those flaps. And the interior features some beautiful styling as well. Get the Land of the Free and Home of the Brave with a look at the, I believe that's the Brooklyn Bridge there. And then on the interior, hard to see on this one, but it's the entire skyline of New York City featured on the interior, all done in gold foil. So nice touch to that one as well. So beautiful tuck box, really, really nicely done, but expected nothing less from Tom. All of his decks have had really high quality tuck boxes. All right, but let's check out the cards themselves, and we'll start with the back design. And here it is. So really nicely done in gold metallics mixed in with that dark maroon background. I will say, you know, after the foils of the tuck box, the metallics end up being a little bit flat on this one. I prefer the metallics that like Cardamundi or USBCC do. They have a little bit more shine in them, but the gold metallics on this one, still a really nice touch. And the design here is built around, of course, the Empire State Building reflected in the top and the bottom, flanked by a couple of statues of Liberty on either side, and then another view of the Brooklyn Bridge on the sides as well. Great use of the architecture. The Art Deco style of this one really fits nicely, and then it rounds out with that thin white poker border around the edges. So nice color contrast on this one, the golds and the reds, really great color combination overall. All right, now let's turn to the cards themselves. We start off with the two jokers. So instead of joker in the corners, we have the apples, of course, New York also known as the Big Apple. And then two kind of reminiscent of sort of neon signs here. You have one that's the city that never sleeps, and then welcome to New York, the Empire City. Beautiful pair of jokers on this one. I will say they look a little bit more like Vegas signs than New York signs, but you'll find neon signs all over New York as well. So that's nicely fitting. So there's your two jokers. Ace of Spades is the only power ace in the deck. This one features the large spade pip, featuring an enlarged view there of the Statue of Liberty front and center, some of the skyline flanking her on either side, and then ringed with the stars and the glow, all done in those nice gold metallics as well. The pip and index here in the corner, I love the font here, just kind of a slightly customized font, but still easy to read, and then a really teeny tiny little spade pip there as well. So there is your Ace of Spades. Number cards on this one are all custom, feature the stylized pips here. They have that sort of extra little bit of artwork there in the center, kind of a star, I guess. So some slight touches to give a little embellishment to the spade pips. All of them done in this kind of custom arrangement, a little bit crowded in the center. I would have liked the pips to be maybe a little bit bigger and spread out, kind of fill in some of this white space in some way. But overall, still a nice look to the pips, kind of a classic, nice, easily usable. The classically red cards are instead done with the kind of greenish gold metallic on these. So you'll see the black cards and the gold cards, I guess I would call them. They're very similar in color, I will say. It's a little bit hard to tell the difference between green and red cards. And you combine that with a really tiny pip in there in the corner. Makes it a little bit harder to use for gameplay, but still nice overall as an art deck. So there's your clubs, and then into your hearts. So that's your number cards. Is that only the Ace of Spades is the power ace. And then we get into the court cards. And if you've seen Alba Zapata decks before, you'll recognize her court card style. Very distinctive, the line work that she does on hers. The character is just kind of a fun, almost cartoonish look to them. I love the style of them overall. Definitely not quite in keeping with the sort of art deco that you'll find everywhere else in the deck, but in and of themselves, love the court cards. And the court cards throughout the deck feature just a little peek into the slice of life of New York through the ages. And you'll find a whole variety of cast of characters. Like in the Jack of Spades here, you get the reflected image. This one with the sheriff's badge there, maybe one of the old-time police officers or something like that from New York City. Got the detective's hat on, skyline in the background. Great mixture of the reds, the browns, the gold metallics. Kind of gives it that, I don't know, a little bit of an antique-y look. And, you know, just a nice diversity. Like you'll get a lady out there shopping with a glass of champagne in hand. Obviously lots of places to shop in New York City. This is a cool one, recognizing the stock exchange. So the New York Stock Exchange is, of course, in New York. So we get a stockbroker flashing his cash there. And then that's the view of One Wall Street. This is the Bank of New York building there in the background. So love the nod to another little part of New York. And speaking of New York culture, the Jack of Diamonds gives you a little look of street culture. You'll find, you know, basketball players, street performers. This guy here, beatboxing, you get the basketball shoes and the basketball in there in the corner. Just a great little addition, you know, just another twist on New York there. Lots of artists there. So the Queen of Diamonds has a painter. There's another classic tourist. He's got the map and the camera in hand and wearing the classic I Heart New York t-shirt. You can go out on the water, so you have somebody out there boating. There's your Queen of Clubs, nod to the Apollo Theater, the famous theater out there where you can go out for amateur night. So there's one of the performers for amateur night at the Apollo. Pizza, obviously a big part of the food scene in New York. So you get a pizza chef there as the King of Clubs. Another singer there as the Jack of Hearts. This one speaks to some of the protests there. Power to the people. So a little protester there. King of Hearts, another tourist, this time with the bagel and coffee in hand. Lots of great food you can get there. And that is the deck. So a great variety of different characters throughout New York. Love the styling of these, the line work. Just think it's really, really well done. Just wish it had been kind of more in keeping with the style of the back design. So I think there's a little bit of inconsistency with the ornate Art Deco style of the back design, and then the more kind of blunt line work of the court cards. But overall, a really, really fun deck. And that is the deck, or at least that is the Manhattan Sunrise version of the deck. Now, like I said, there is one other version with the Brooklyn Twilight version here. Not too many changes that you'll see on this one. This is, for the most part, just a color swap of the deck. So the same two-tone gold foils, this time against the green backdrop. And I will say, I think the green really does highlight those golds a little bit better than the red does. Typically, I like red decks, but in this one, I think the green works really, really well. This one, also an 1800 deck edition, but no other significant differences in the artwork to speak of. Obviously, you get a little bit of a color swap here on the back. And again, I think that the green does kind of edge out the red a little bit. Both of them, I think, have their pros, but I think the green to me works a little bit better. And then the cards themselves, very, very similar, all the same artwork on these. And very, very similar colors as well. So not going to see too many differences. For the most part, like I said, just a color swap deck. More greens instead of reds and maroons on this one. And that is the second version of the deck with Empire City. So overall, I like the deck quite a bit. I was definitely drawn in by that tuck box. I love Art Deco styling more than anything. And the cards don't disappoint, although, like I said, consistency in the art style, probably the one drawback I would have. Now, if you are into handling these cards, these come from Taiwan Playing Card Company. So if you're used to like USPCC or Cardamundi, these aren't going to handle quite like those. And I got to say, for me, they don't handle quite as well. A little bit clumpier on fans, but I'm not a cardist or anything like that. So for me, more than good enough if you wanted to use these for gameplay or for shuffling or something. I don't know. That's my 30-second review of the handling of the deck. But anyway, that is the look at Empire City and the city that never sleeps. Great fourth deck. Tom has done a really good job with all of his decks. Great styling. Definitely kind of follows in the theme of Riffle Shuffle, which is kind of where he started. So if you've seen other Riffle Shuffle decks, this is kind of very much fall in line with those, but I think did a really good job with it. Yet another just kind of fun deck to add to the collection. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.